Our primary mission here at Alternate Media is to bridge the gap between Judaism and Christianity as it's existed for far too long. Yeshua, as we know, never intended to start a new religion. He was a religious Jew.
I think that's a certain point in every believer's life where we think, isn't there more?
There has definitely been a need within the church. It's something that a lot of Christians are searching for. A lot of Christians know that there is something missing in their faith. What indeed is intended to fill that is Judaic roots of the faith.
The New Testament is very clear about bridging the gap between Jew and Gentile, and we're just returning that mission back to the modern day.
Shalom and welcome. Happy Purim. We're a day late. Hope everybody had a good Purim. And in the spirit of the holiday, I am obviously dressed up as, you probably can't see my whole ensemble, but I am a pirate today. I am still armed as a pirate. So today is probably one of my favorite events of the year where we do our bookshelf giveaway. There really isn't a subject to tonight, so ask whatever you want in the chat, and we will definitely try and get around to it. Without further ado, let me bring up my co-host here.
What's happening?
What's going on, bro?
My getup is not as good as yours. Believe it or not, I'm still unpacking some of my stuff, so some of my costumes are put away, and the good costume that I wore it yesterday. So
I got you. So what did you wear yesterday?
I went as Braveheart again. I went as Braveheart last year, but in a completely different community. So it was time. Like I loved it when I put it together. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it again. It's new to everybody here, and I had the face paint and everything going. And I wasn't gonna do that today. So
that is awesome. Yeah, this was still a last minute throw together for me. I had some other ideas. Actually, I even entertained the idea for a little bit of trying to throw together a Alfie Solomon's.
Oh, that would be cool.
Because I'm pretty good at mimicking that voice too.
You know, if I had thought about it, I could have gotten a haircut ahead of today and gone as Arthur from the Peaky Blinders.
Right.
Because the suit, bow tie, I have the whole getup. I just need to have the foresight to do that.
Yeah, I've got pretty much everything I need except for the hat. Because he's got that cool flat wide brim hat.
Yeah. Well, cool. So we got a bunch of stuff to give away.
Indeed.
Oh, and for those of you who can't tell, I'm Assassin's Creed. I'm Ezio from Assassin's Creed. The hood is
a better giveaway.
The hood is a better giveaway. It's just really fairly big, and so it's kind of hard to wear it on the show. I don't know. I don't like wearing a hood on my head. So
right. All right.
So, who's joining you in spirits tonight?
So I am still working on this Lone Rider sherry cask finish bourbon. Very good stuff, actually. I would recommend this. It's pretty good. And because I always do a Boilermaker, and I am anti-Bud Light, so I am doing a Coors Light with it tonight.
My man. I gotta later on. I gotta grab the Coors that I have sitting in my fridge. I just kind of forgot. Today I'm freshly opening a fresh bottle of Redbreast 12 today, and I'm putting it in my Ireland colors glass.
Absolutely.
So I'm just cracking this bad boy open. It's one of those things where the seal's kind of ripped. So now I gotta wrestle with it. Yay.
Ugh.
Well, once I'm smarter than the bottle and I figure this out,
right?
Why don't you give us a rundown on how we're going to do things tonight and why it's so different and why the audience needs to be more involved today?
Yes, tonight is definitely a night like for everybody watching. Like tonight is definitely a night to be engaged in the live chat. Tonight is different from all other nights. because we really don't have a subject that we cover during our bookshelf giveaway, because we move through the giveaway really as fast as we possibly can, because there are so many books to give away that it usually goes over an hour regardless.
Right.
And so we kind of rely on you guys to drive the content of the show. If there is a question that you have that you want answered, or that you think would drive an interesting small conversation that might help educate others, throw it up in the chat. And between questions, we will be rolling the dice on who will be winning a book tonight. And naturally, the grand prize at the end of the night will be the bookshelf starter kit. This is something we've done. This is like our third or fourth year? Is our fourth year?
I think it's our fourth year.
Fourth year doing this.
We've done a lot of these. There we go. Finally, holy cow! The piece of paper that keeps it from was recessed, and yeah, whatever. That was embarrassingly long. I know. It took me forever to get this stupid bottle open. Now I can finally. There we go. That's about time. That really worked for this one. Holy cow. So yeah, if you are a member, if you are part of the altar crew on either the website or the Patreon, links in the description of the video down below, your name automatically gets entered in for this drawing. We put you on one big spreadsheet and we literally roll the dice, and where it lands, you win a book. We're going to give away 10 total prizes, 9 books, with one grand prize being the entirety of all 9 books in one big gift to one very lucky special winner tonight. And then, of course, everyone has a chance to win. And chances are pretty high, actually, because our membership is not as large as you might think it is. So the chances of people winning are pretty high.
Right.
Yeah. And so 10 lucky winners with 9 individual books, and then one big winner. So the only way we move forward, however, is you got to ask us a question in the chat. And if we get a question, a good one that's worth answering, then we give away a book for each question that we answer. So you got to ask us questions. You got to be involved. Ask whatever you like. This is straight up lion's den kind of thing. We're sitting in the middle. Come at us from all sides. And then as we answer a question, then we give a book away. So we'll be answering 10 questions tonight. Questions of your choice. They can be whatever you want them to be. I hope we can get to most of the questions. If we don't, you might need to become a member and join us in the after parties and then ask us there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So far we have no questions in the chat. So looking at you, chat. Why don't you start doing your thing?
We have somebody guessing how many hats you've got.
This is a good guess, but it's not correct. But that's a good guess. And there's 42 is one of my favorite numbers, but it's a very close guess because it's my favorite number, but it's not correct, unfortunately. All right. Wow. Everyone's highballing now. Okay, so our first book that we are giving away tonight, in fact, let me go ahead and pull up. Let's see here. So the first book that we are giving away is a copy of the Schotttenstein Chumash, the full-size copy. I actually don't have one here with me. I have the travel.
I don't have mine up here. Mine's downstairs, but the Schotttenstein Interlinear is it's a personal favorite of mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it for those of you who really want to learn to read Hebrew, this will help. Because the style of interlinear that it is such that the English letters are beneath the Hebrew letters. So you're reading English backwards, technically.
Yeah.
Because it follows the Hebrew text. So it gets you used to kind of already reading in the right to left mode. And like from there, really, it's just a matter of learning the alphabet and learning the language a bit, and you can actually start to read the Hebrew text. I think, yeah, I think it's a learning curve, definitely, but it's helpful.
It's one of those. It's a little blocky to read, but because it's interlinear, it's super valuable. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into. If you're learning to read Hebrew, you can, like, if you're at a point where you can read Hebrew, you just have no idea what you're saying, like you can physically read it. This is a good way to learn, because then you can read it and look down and see what you're saying in English, what it sort of means. Best way to learn Hebrew, in my opinion, is the Schotttenstein Interlinear Chumash. And it's just like the Stone Edition Chumash that we give away every year. And that the commentary in the bottom is exactly the same commentary. But the Schotttenstein Chumash is interlinear, so I think it's more valuable as a resource for those who are a student of Hebrew. The Stone Edition is more user-friendly, but the Schotttenstein is definitely more oriented towards the Hebrew student. So we're giving away one Schotttenstein full-size interlinear Chumash. It's the first 5. For those who don't know, Chumash means first 5 books of the Torah. Chumash means 5. It's like the Hebrew word for 5. So yeah, all right. So we have one question. Let's see if it's worth pulling up and answering. Yeah, and we'll star certain questions as we get them.
Absolutely.
What do you think? We should answer that question?
Yeah, I think that's worth it.
Okay, let's pull it up. All right, Abeda. I hope I'm saying that right. I have a question. I believe that Yeshua is and was a man, 100%. Now that he has been resurrected, is he divine? Will he ever be divine? Basically, speak to the divinity / not divinity of Yeshua, please. Okay. Interesting. My first thing to gently point out is I believe Yeshua is and was a man 100%. So do Trinitarians. So that's, something to kind of specify there.
Just, they would say that, but as a point of ontology, that is 100% incorrect.
Right, but they
they would say 100% man, 100% God, but of necessity, one negates the other.
Right. And then to the second part of this question, will he ever be divine, or is he divine? So it depends on how you actually define the word divine, because a divine being, an angel, is divine, and not God, right? So,
right.
And there's actually a lot of evidence. Yeah, and there's a lot of evidence in early church history that some of the first, like the earliest believers, the patristic fathers, actually not really them too, obviously, but even earlier than that, the apostolic fathers believed in a divinity in some way, shape, or form of the now risen Jesus. So where that divinity takes place is historically kind of evolved. It happens at his resurrection. It happens at his ascension 40 days after. There seems to be an evolution of it going further and further back in time as time goes forward, funny enough. So eventually his divinity begins at his baptism, and then later in history, he becomes a divine being at his birth, right? And then by the time you get to the book of John, he was always a divine being. And so it kind of, depending on how you answer that question and how you approach it historically, it's but to say that Yeshua is God, right? We don't believe that. That's right. That is the ultimate immediate position. We are not Trinitarian. We are, in fact, Unitarian.
Yep. I would also say strict monotheist, right? Because Unitarian also can come with some baggage that we don't necessarily.
And there are Unitarians that will still say something to the effect of Jesus is God. And that doesn't break a Unitarian point of view. They will take it as sort of basically partialism and subordinationism can be considered Unitarian viewpoints. So it is true that we need to kind of back that up with a little bit of clarity. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess it's like to answer the question, right? After his resurrection, does he become divine in any sense of the word? I think, certainly there could be a sense of divineness, probably similar to that of an angel. attributed there, in as much as all that entails. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying he becomes an angel, but I'm saying that in a similar sense of divinity that angels have.
I would say Elijah is a great example. Elijah would now be considered a divine being.
Yes.
And then possibly Enoch as well, depending on your viewpoints of what happened to him. Moses, when he descended from the mountain and his face glowed, is described as being a divine being in that moment. We have no problem saying something to the effect of, as long as you understand the strict definitions of the word, that Jesus is a divine being. But yeah. So I think that was pretty good. That was a lot of time on that one question. But rolling the dice, what do we got here? And the first winner for tonight, who is winning the Schotttenstein Interlinear Chumash, is Matthew Munoz. Congratulations, Matthew. I'm not going to say your email online, but we will reach out to you via email if you're not watching, and let you know that you won. Let me go ahead and make sure I write all this stuff down. Matthew Munoz, so that I don't forget.
Is it Munoz or Munoz?
Why isn't it working? Come on. Is my keyboard dead? No.
No, you just got lag.
I'm laggy?
No.
I'm trying to type in my notes and it's not registering. That's really odd. Well, do it on my laptop then. Fine.
I'll write hard notes here.
Yeah, Munoz. Munoz?
Yep.
I don't see an Enye, but also it might just be because it was incapable.
Right.
Cool. So, next question. What do we got?
Let's see.
Oh, there's a couple of them up here.
There's a few that are decent here.
Interesting. What about goosenecks? What do you think?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'll read it, and then I'm going to let you take a swing at this one first. Would you associate Jesus' trial with Satan in the wilderness with Job's struggles, something like an allusion towards perseverance and wisdom?
So, I'm not sure if the question here is asking if, like, the struggles of Job are in any way prophetic of the trial that, Messiah would go through with Satan. I don't think that's the case. If that's what you're asking, my answer would be no. I think even a broader association, one thing that's distinct between the two accounts is that Yeshua is, from what we can tell, he's having a direct conversation with the Satan in this passage, whereas Job actually is almost completely unaware of Satan's being active, right? Yeah. As he understands, this is all stuff that God has allowed to come upon him, and he almost never blames the person of Satan for it. I would say also, like, Yeshua's trials are enticing him to commit some kind of a violation, right? Whereas for Job, that's not necessarily the case, right? Job isn't exactly being enticed or tempted to do something that is wrong. Rather, he's simply having everything taken from him, right? He's being stripped of all of his worldly goods, all of his family, like everything he has, he loses. So it's not really a matter of temptation so much as it is a matter of torture.
And how he would respond to that.
Right. So I don't know that I would say there's a direct association. Now, it could be that within some of the wording and some of the statements of Job, and as well as the statements of Yeshua, I've not looked close enough at it to determine whether or not there's some relation between those two, but there could be.
I think the stories are different enough that I don't think one is trying to allude to the other. I think the goal in the story of Jesus in the wilderness and the temptations is more about him being a messianic figure, right? So obviously, right, it's the gospel about a Messiah, but in the way that he is overcoming Satan, right? So it's all of these things where he's constantly overcoming, and that's an obvious allusion, I think, to like Genesis, the first messianic prophecy, so to speak, where there's this sort of conquering over death and over the world. Satan represents as being a sort of the Lord over the world, and so his constant, resistance against it and being above it is more of a, hey, my kingdom is not of this world. I'm, it's a different thing entirely, and I will overcome you. And I think it's a very different. I think Matthew is trying to send a particularly different message, and he's not pulling from Job, I don't think. But that's just me. So that brings us to gift number two. Gift number two, we didn't even announce it yet, is the Practical Tanya by Chaim Miller. This is an interesting one. So we always give away a Tanya every year, but this is the first year we're giving away a different Tanya from the Lessons in Tanya 5. Where is it? Can you even see it? No.
Yep. Right. It's just over your shoulder there.
Actually, that's not the Tanya. Oh, yeah, that is the Tanya right there, the black one.
I know what I'm looking at.
I thought you were looking at the white books. So we usually give the 5-volume Lessons in Tanya set away. Yep. This is a 3-volume set called the Practical Tanya. It reads a little bit differently. The Lessons in Tanya has elucidation between paragraphs and sentences to help you follow along. The Practical Tanya is a massive set. It's only 3 volumes, but trust me when I say that the number of pages in the volumes there are massive, but they are much more geared for a the Practical Tanya. It's a lot more of a grounded Tanya teaching. I think it's way more user friendly and easier to read, and it's got little Chaim Miller insights where he kind of breaks certain things down and brings it down back to earth. Where this concept seems lofty, but here's how it can mean something to you in your daily life. Here's how you should tie your shoes as a reminder, kind of thing. Like, it makes it more real rather than the Lessons in Tanya being a lot more for somebody who's kind of already familiar with Tanya, I think.
Right.
It's a great book. Both are great books, but we decided we want to give away something a little different this year, something a little bit more user-friendly. So the Practical Tanya is it by Chaim Miller. And that book set will go to, and I've rolled a Bradley Hewitt. Bradley Hewitt. I think he's in the chat, actually.
I believe so as well.
Bradley Hewitt, if you're still here, he guessed 27 hats. You are close, my friend, by the way. But Bradley Hewitt, you are the winner of the Practical Tanya. Congratulations, my guy.
Awesome.
Bradley Hewitt. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, he's still in the chat.
Yes. Congrats, man.
We will reach out to you too.
We will reach out to you via email, and we will send you your free 3-volume copy of the Practical Tanya by Chaim Miller. I actually have all 3 volumes, but I bought it on Kindle. And I kind of wish I had not.
Yeah.
It's the same price as the Lessons in Tanya. You're not losing anything. But I bought the Kindle because I think I went on a deployment and decided I wanted to try it out, and I didn't have all my books with me. Anyway, I love it. I've read it. It's great. I just wish I had a physical volume here to show it off.
Right.
All right. Cool. Congrats once again. And the next book we're giving away is called Besorah. This is a good book. I actually do have a copy. No, I don't. I have this one on Kindle too. It's another one. You will not believe how many books I don't have on the shelf behind me.
Indeed.
But Besorah, we did a book club episode on this last year. Great book. I can't remember who's the author of it. The author is actually in the link of the description of the video below. Besorah. Great book, though. Highly recommend it. Besorah, for those who don't know, is the Hebrew word for gospel. Or it's the Hebrew equivalent of gospel. Besorah means good news. Gospel means good news. So Besorah gospel. And it's about returning what the real concept of the gospel is, what that means to a Hebrew speaker, and returning that idea to the New Testament writings. A lot of people think of the gospel as the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus. Okay, fair enough. That's part of it, but that's not what gospel means to a Hebrew speaker or to even the early Christians in the first century. And so really good book about putting that back into perspective, and highly recommend it. We did a book club on it. So if you want to get a review of the book, look for our book club episode on Besorah. I do that one, and you can get an idea of what to expect in the book. And I give you some of my favorite parts and least favorite parts of the whole thing. Anyway, we need a question for it. So I've picked the last two. What you got?
Let's see. There were a few. Okay, so this is a good one. Because this is something we actually discussed a little bit more recently. Says, how come in Matthew the sign of Jonah seems to be more about the resurrection, and in Luke it has more to do with Gentile inclusion? I think that he's also this. I think that this is also the case in Mark.
Yeah,
where what he's talking about is like, more or less in Luke and in Mark. I'm positive. Yeshua simply references the sign of the prophet Jonah, right, as the sign that would be given to this generation. And then that's it. And then in the book of Matthew, it's the sign of the prophet Jonah, and then an explanation about Jonah's 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish,
right,
and the Son of Man's 3 days and 3 nights in the grave. Though that's tied to it. That's almost something that's additional that Mark doesn't have, and Luke also seems to be absent of.
Right. That's correct. So how come? Matthew, I think, added that tradition because he got it from somewhere. But, he doesn't seem to have a problem with adding it regardless of whether or not the 3 days and 3 nights seems to be the focus. I wouldn't say that Matthew's version of events focuses on the resurrection. I think Matthew, again, he puts that in there because he received that tradition from somewhere. But if you keep even in Matthew, you actually still get a sense of Gentile inclusion because the whole thing that brings the conversation up is who's going to be judge over that generation. The generation that seeks a sign is a wicked generation. It'll be like in the days of Jonah, and they will be judges over you. And then, so all the elements are still there. He's just included the 3 days and 3 nights aspect. And Matthew is written later after Mark, and he's probably using a similar source as Mark is using, the illustrious, all elusive Q document. Whether Q is actually, and that's another thing too, Q doesn't mean it's a document. We often call it one. But Q just means whatever that shared source is between Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Q can easily be just oral tradition. Q just is whatever that shared source is. And I think Matthew is adding to the Q source in this particular instance of the 3 days and 3 nights, because Matthew is written post-resurrection. It's also written post-destruction of the temple, most likely. And so that, in Matthew's mind, that indication and parallel with the temple, because he believes the temple will be rebuilt, and he puts that in there as well. There's a sort of focus in that because it's fresh on the mind of the author, I think. But it still focuses, I think, in the Gentile inclusion. He just happens to include another part of the tradition.
And a small correction very quickly. Mark actually doesn't even mention Mark basically says that no such sign will be given. Doesn't mention the sign of the prophet Jonah, but Luke does. And from what we can tell, Matthew and Luke are both pulling from a common source, which in many cases is Mark. And in other cases, the Q source that you've mentioned is thought to be the possible primary source for all three of the synoptics.
Keep in mind, too, so Mark comes first. We know that. Mark is probably written pre the destruction of the temple. So the judgment that Matthew adds in there, Matthew and Luke, that the temple just got destroyed. So that's the judgment. So they're putting that in there possibly as a part of the interpretive nature of how they see that history playing out, where Mark didn't see that judgment happen yet, and so did not include it. Mark also has a different focus entirely. It's not whether or not it happened, it didn't happen because Mark didn't say that. That's not the case at all. It's usually because Mark has a different goal, and so he, just basically leaves it out because it's not important to him. It's not to say that he wasn't aware of it. He very well might have been. He didn't.
Mark doesn't put a whole lot in there that has to be strained over in much philosophical thought.
Right.
It's not the nature of Mark's gospel. Now, where Mark does put in things that we would probably read as irrelevant details that are actually extremely relevant, and it's always important to ask, why did Mark put that there?
Which is a different question, so we're going to move on. So we'll roll the dice here, and the winner of Besorah is going to go to Gianni Cabling. Gianni Cabling. I guess you should write a banner, right?
Right.
Yeah, my keyboard is not working right now. Maybe if I just reset it. I'm having technical difficulties.
All right. Oh, interesting. All right. So, Milwaukee is in the chat, by the way. Welcome, Will. This that I am wearing actually began as an initial ensemble for Will Turner. And the reason being is because locally where I live, at the end of summer, it's like the last event of summer before you really jump into the fall season. The town that's like 3 towns over, small fishing town, or a small drinking town that loves to fish, whichever one you want to say, puts on what they call the Pirate Invasion Festival. And a lot of vendors come in from out of town. A lot of people travel from sometimes even out of state to be at this event, and everybody just goes around dressed up as pirates. Seamus has been there with me multiple times, but I initially started going with a friend of mine who had one of the most spectacular homemade, put together Jack Sparrow costumes, and he was spectacular at doing the voice and just an all-out impersonation. He's one of the best that I've ever seen. So because I was going to be there with Jack Sparrow, it only made sense that I also be somebody from Pirates of the Caribbean. So yeah, there's a couple of elements that I don't have with it right now, such as the black vest that goes with it, among other things. But that's, this ultimately, I forget which particular movie. It's either the second or third one. But yeah, he's wearing, kind of a this colored shirt with a black vest and sort of a this colored bandana with a creamy yellow sash, which is what I've got on also. And so we were Jack Sparrow and Will Turner, and really fun event. Again, it's kind of how for many years is how I would say goodbye to summer and welcome fall. And like I said, Seamus has been there with me, and it was wonderful adventure both times.
Okay, there we go. I'm counting that as a question. As you spent a while on it, so
cool.
Congratulations again to Gianni Cabling. If you're watching, you have won a copy of Besorah. We will reach out to you in email. All right, so that was another question. So I'm going to roll the dice one more time, and we have our winner. The book that we are giving away on this one is Restoration.
Another good one.
Another great one. We always give this one away. Solid book. I feel like I read it once a year. Great book. Oh, let's see what we got. Mark. that's his
Just
name.
Mark.
It just says Mark. I have his email. Marky Shark is all I'll say. But I don't think that's his full name. So Mark Shark question mark in parentheses. Congratulations to Mark Shark. You are going to receive a free copy of Restoration by D. Thomas Lancaster. A solid book. Even if you already have a copy or if you've already read it, get the free book anyway and give it to a friend of yours, or something. It's a great book. I highly recommend this book. Okay, next question. What do we got? Let's see. Oh, I see a good one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah. Okay. The next book we are giving away is Jesus the Pharisee by Harvey Falk. That is a good book.
Yep.
And I think we've done a book club on this one. I may not have yet.
I feel like you did.
I feel like I did. Maybe I did. Great book anyway. I just can't remember if I actually got around to doing that one or not. Because I was right in the middle of a move when we were supposed to do that book. But Jesus the Pharisee, solid book. I do have a physical copy here. We've recommended it on the show a few times. If nothing else, even if it doesn't convince you that Jesus is a Pharisee, it will definitely convince you that he was aligning himself with Pharisaic Judaism of his time.
Right.
It's a fantastic book. Really well done. It's a very scholarly piece too. So a little dense, kind of a small book, but again, a great resource. What question is worthy of this book? Ooh. Yeah, there's a couple of things going on here in the chat.
Yeah. Let's see. We have the one that you just did, and then the second one by Gooseneck. Or even, because it's relevant, the one Aaron asked.
Which one? Yeah, pull it up.
All right.
I got it. That one?
Yeah, that one.
Would you agree that in Talmudic weightings...
Writings is what he meant to write there.
Yeah. Okay, so I meant like weighing exceptions. But writing exceptions help determine the rule. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Seems like a simple yes or no answer, but I mean, there is more to it than that, than just writing about crazy exceptions or even situations which would be almost impossible to happen in real life. Help them to determine the exact parameters of the rule. Basically, the Talmud spends a lot of time telling you what the rule isn't, and for good reason.
Right.
So yeah, I think that was a good one. Jesus the Pharisee, actually Harvey Falk, the author of the book, goes a little bit into this detail in his book, just a little bit, to help establish a baseline for the way Jesus argues in some of his examples, which is very Pharisaic in nature. So that is a good question for the book that we are giving away. So I'm gonna give her a roll. What do we got? Oh, all over the place. Aaron Gardner, you asked a question and you received a book.
My man.
Congratulations, Aaron. You are the winner of the book.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, congrats, Aaron. We will reach out to you about shipping you your book. And if you've already read this book, and this is true for anybody if you're here, and it's a book that you have already and you want to do a re-roll or throw your hat in or let it go to somebody else, just let us know. But I don't know if I don't know if you have this book, but you're about to have this book if you don't. So congratulations, Aaron. I'm putting you down for Jesus the Pharisee. What are the odds? All right. Okay. The next book we are giving away is another personal favorite of mine, Rethinking the 5 Solae.
This is a spectacular book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This will have you rethinking the 5 Solae. I mean, quite literally, you will rethink the entire structure of the Christianity that you learned.
Yeah, and it does a really good, like, most of the book is really about dismantling sola scriptura. I would say a majority of the book is dedicated to that. And then the other 5 Solae, or the other 4 Solae, it readdresses some of them are good, right? Soli Deo Gloria, glory to be to God alone. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's not about rethinking, stuff like that. Although he goes into what it really means and why that's been misused, and how that Solae, by making that distinction, can be problematic for other things. So there's still rethinking, but a lot of the book is about like the first 2 Solae and how they're just straight problematic. It's super, super good book. Highly recommend it. I have done a book club on this book. It's fantastic. If you want more information on the book, go watch that episode.
So here's a good one. I'm going to throw this up because this often comes up in the discussion on the divinity of Yeshua, right? So the difference between a shaliach and a malach, right? Or an angel, right? As most of us know, or really a messenger, right? An emissary, because malach it doesn't have to always refer to angels. So I would say that is one of the primary differences, though, is that one is a representative of agency, and the other one is a messenger, right? One is carrying a message. The other one is carrying the authority of.
Yeah, usually a shaliach has a sense of more permanence than a malach.
I would dare say even a sense of autonomy also.
Yeah. And a malach is usually, also it's almost always associated with angelic beings, even though it just really means messenger. You don't usually see that language used on, because shaliach is a legal term. That's kind of where the difference is. A malach is usually associated with heavenly beings, and so it's understood that they are a shaliach of God. But a shaliach is like legally saying you have a power of attorney. And so just calling a shaliach a malach, it implies that the power of attorney is not with him. And if he's only there to literally deliver a message and that's it, he can't act and do or represent his master in any way, then it's very, very, very simplified. But a shaliach has a little bit more of a, like you said, autonomy, and it's more of a legal term establishing exactly the kind of parameters that this particular messenger or emissary is what he's allowed to do and what he's there to do, what he's there to accomplish. So there are key differences, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah. Good one. So Aaron, he did say he was willing to pass it on. So do you want us to re-roll for that book, basically, is what you're saying? Or do you want us to send it to you and you will give it to somebody?
Yeah. That's the thing. If you already have something that we're giving you, you can re-gift it here live as we're doing this, and we'll just re-roll for the drawing, or we'll just send it to you and then you can re-gift it on your own, right? You can find somebody that you want to give it to. Either way, but you got to let us know which way you want to do that.
Yeah. Our next winner, I do believe, she may or may, he says roll away. So Well, our next winner for the Rethinking the Five Solae, and she may already have this book because I know this name pretty well. Lowell Abeda, and she might still be here. She asked a question earlier.
She did. So
Abeda, congratulations. If you don't have this book, you just won it. If you do have this book, let us know and we'll re-roll if you want us to re-roll. And for Aaron, since you did say to re-roll, we are re-rolling now. And the winner now is Justin Butcher. Justin Butcher, congratulations. Justin Butcher. Boom. You will be receiving, let me see here. Yeah. Jesus the Pharisee will be going to you. Thank you. We'll send your thanks to Aaron. And Rethinking the Five Solae to Abeda, unless you want us to re-roll for that one. Re-roll. She has it. Yep, we will re-roll that one then. Cool. This happens a lot because, once again, guys, your odds of winning are actually pretty high. All right, so the winner of Rethinking the Five Solae, thanks to Abeda, she has essentially gifted it to you. Travis and Jess Burnside.
Hey! I'm going to say, I think Jess Burnside was in here earlier.
Yeah? Let me see if make sure I'm spelling this right. Yeah, I am. So I'm going to put Travis Burnside or the Burnsides. Congratulations. Let's see here. Burnside. All right. A couple more books to go. We got 3 more books and then the grand prize. So we have 4 more questions left. Oh, he said trade. The 2 winners trading books. I guess we could legally allow that if they're here live. Too late. We already re-rolled it and announced the winners, though. So, all right, cool. Burnsides, if you're in the chat, congratulations. If not, we will again be contacting you via email about your winnings, and we will send them to you. Next book. The Irony of Galatians by Mark D. Nanos. This is a fantastic book, super scholarly, a little dense, pretty big. In fact, I have my copy out right here. Oh, I'm going to fall. There we go. The Irony of Galatians by Mark D. Nanos. This is a solid book, but it is dense. It is very, very dense. So, I think anyone can read it, but as long as you have at least, I would say the like an 8th grade reading level, you should be fine. It's more confusing in the opening than it is for the rest of the body of the book. Funny enough, right. The introduction is very confusing and dense, but the body of the book is actually pretty easy to read. But great book. Irony, it's about Paul's use of ironic letter writing style that is common in Koine Greek of the 1st century, and why that's important to how you interpret the rest of Galatians, because Paul's use of irony in such a way that he actually understands that his audience will understand what's going on. Very important book. It's a great book. So what kind of question do we have for this one?
Ooh, I like this one. If you could be a disciple, which one would you be and why?
Judas.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh.
Edgy.
Yeah, that's an edgelord take for sure. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
You have to answer why.
Oh, why? Oh man. Everyone remembers him. I think Peter, actually.
Really?
Because I'm stupid, and I think Peter was kind of stupid.
I would also say Peter, actually. Not so much because he was stupid, but I other aspects of Peter that I can relate to, in addition to the stupid, is the quick to speak, but also I would say the nature of big brotherliness that you get from Peter, the fact that like everybody kind of just defaulted to him as the protector sort of. That's something I very much relate to, and I would say the thick-headedness, the fact that he didn't really pick up on everything like the first time around, but like after the third time he gets it, and then he's really got it though.
Yeah, Peter's rule of 3 is pretty prominent. Yeah, especially like with the vision of the sheet. And it took him like 3 tries before he finally got it.
And then Peter, do you love me? Right.
Yeah.
Both of those are like, it took 3 times before he was like, oh, that's what he meant.
And then the crow 3 times, the denial 3 times. Yeah. A lot of 3s with Peter. So that's a good question. I actually like that question a lot. It's fun.
Indeed.
So irony of Galatians will be going to, our winner is Jairus Landrum. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm going to write it in the banner. Mr. or Mrs. Landrum. I'm not good with names. There it is. It's in the thing. Jairus Landrum, congratulations. You are the winner of The Irony of Galatians by Mark D. Nanos. Fantastic book. If you're not in the chat, we will certainly be reaching out to you via email. Landrum. Okay. So congratulations once again to... I want to say...
the Landrums.
Is it Jairus? I was thinking that, but it doesn't sound Spanish enough. Is that like diet racism? It's not Spanish enough.
I can let that pass.
Yeah.
as a representative for the Latino community, I can let that pass.
I've been officially demonetized. Our channel's been canceled. Okay, so
I absolve you of your
oh, I just got the pass. You see that? Okay, cool. So the next book that we are giving away is Love and the Messianic Age by Paul Philip Levertoff.
Ooh, another great one.
Another fantastic book. Another book you just can't go wrong.
This is a good one. It's like a soft introduction to Tanya, actually.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. For those who don't know, Paul Philip Levertoff is the grandson, I think, of the guy who wrote the Tanya. And he later in his life he went to yeshiva, universities, and all that. And later in life he discovered a Hebrew version of John, I believe, just a leaflet, a page, and kind of a long story short. Too long did not read kind of thing. He wondered who this rabbi was who was speaking beautiful Tanya concepts. His rabbi, he took it to his rabbi, he figured out it was a gospel, told him he wasn't allowed to read it. Eventually he figures it out that it was the Gospel of John. He reads it for himself and he says to himself, this is our book. Like, this sounds like something we would write. And so he writes a commentary called Love and the Messianic Age on how you can't understand the book of John without a mystic Hasidic background. Because the book of John, basically he reads it and he goes, yeah, if you're a Christian, of course you're going to misinterpret this. You have no idea what's being relayed here. Let me help you. And he becomes a believer. And so he's actually one of the famous Messianic Jews that lived in the 1800s. So again, if anyone ever tells you Messianic Judaism is a prospect of 1970, it's a brand new thing. No, it's not. It's been around forever. We did an episode on that, going through the history of Messianic Judaism. And Paul Philip Levertoff lived in the late 1800s, 1870s, I believe. So,
yep.
Yeah, nothing new. Great book. So what question do we have for?
Wasn't he like a Presbyterian pastor?
Jessica Burnside is in the chat, by the way. Congratulations. Nice.
I was going to say, use that term loosely because he ran his church the way that an Orthodox synagogue would be run. But he was technically a pastor under one of the it was one of the more high churchy organizations, from what I recall.
Paul Philip Levertoff?
Yeah.
No, he was rabbinic. He wasn't like Rabbi Lichtenstein, who retained his rabbinic certification all through the rest of his life. But he did, I think, partner with Daniel Zion.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit more like what we see in a modern Messianic Judaism today. But Paul Philip Levertoff was a trained rabbinic Jew.
No, yeah, I'm not questioning that. I'm talking about his activity in the church, because there was at least some activity in the church.
Oh yeah.
That I think, that the title that he retained was some pastoral status under. I'm pretty sure it was Presbyterian, but I can't recall for sure.
Yeah, he worked within the church more than most other Messianic Jews for his time did. But he was another thing to keep in mind. He lived pre the Holocaust.
Yes.
Okay, so that is a big, important detail, because post-Holocaust Judaism would not be the same. So pre-Holocaust Judaism was a lot more friendly to Gentiles, a little bit more open with dialogue. Rabbi Paul Philip Levertov and Rabbi Lichtenstein would travel and hand out prayer books to Christians and stuff. They had no problems with this at the time. Nowadays, it's a little gatekeepy because, the Holocaust was kind of bad. To put it as mildly as possible, it was the worst thing that ever happened in humanity. And so they've since then, been a lot more careful around Gentiles, because they feel like once they opened themselves up, that's what they got reward. That was their reward. Totally can't blame them for it. But yeah, he lived pre that. So he still operated within a church, and he didn't see a problem with that, because at the time it wasn't like it is today. Yes. So what question will be the reward for Love and the Messianic Age?
Ooh. Let's see.
Winoa asked a pointed question.
Yeah, go ahead and
Oh, she has two of them. Oh, I see. You know what? Joshua, actually, I think this is more apropos.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's the book.
Yeah, it's the book. So what is one thing Hasidic Jews that Christians should mimic and apply to their own life, besides obeying Torah commands? Tanya study, that's the one you're going to go with?
Well, there are so many at this point that I could name, but Tanya study definitely is one that I think a lot of Christians could learn and glean from. I would also say meditation.
Okay. A staple of Hasidic Judaism is, in fact, the word chesed, which is where it gets its name, the Hebrew word for loving kindness. This is going to sound like a Christian answer, but Hasidic Jews are famously known for being some of the kindest, most heartwarming and welcoming people you will ever meet in your life. These are the kind of people, if you've read the book, The Rebbe's Army, great book, by the way, highly recommend it. They will run through an airport back before you could go into an airport in a terminal pre 9/11. But there's stories of they would leave. A person would leave the community for the weekend and have to go whatever back to their secular lives, and they happen to stay with a lovely Hasidic family for that week. And they're running through the airport with lunch packed in hand, just worried that they would leave without kosher food to take with them into the world that they're going. And the story is like of an 80-year-old man, again, like running through the airport. I was worried you left before I woke up. I prepared you lunch. I don't want you to go, without having something to eat. And that kind of like really aggressive kind of loving kindness. Like aggressive is the only word I can think of, but it is very, very proactive loving kindness. And that's what Hasidim is really, really known for. And they're just very user friendly. You go into any Chabad house, they basically walk you through the prayers like you've never done it before. And if you're an experienced Orthodox Jew, it's a little annoying because you're like, I just kind of want to get done with this. But if you're a new person, it's great. It's super, super user friendly because they care more about, that loving kindness aspect, being very, very kind to people. The Rebbe himself. I think Hasidic Judaism really encapsulates Hillelite Judaism really, really well. So it sounds like a Christian answer, loving kindness, but that I think is the biggest thing that we need to walk away with Hasidic, and return that sort of stereotype to the Jewish people, right? Like the stereotype is they're the most loving kindness people you'll ever meet. That's not the stereotype now, but it should be. Yeah. And if we mimic them in that way, then it can be, oh yeah, I got the idea from Hasidic Judaism. They're the greatest people I've ever met, kind of thing. Yeah. So that's good. And love the Messianic age that's a theme in the book as well.
Yep.
So let's roll the dice on that one. Good question. All right, what do we got here? A. Burke. That's what I got. I don't have a first name. This person just put A and then Burke, so I will write it in the banner here. A. Burke. So if you are in the chat, Mr. or Mrs. Burke, or is it Burka? It could be Burke if it's German. I don't know. Gonna go with Burke. Congratulations, Burke. Oh, no way. It's probably you. I would say it's definitely you.
Probably.
So congratulations.
That's a pretty good guess.
Angela Burke. Yes, I can't believe they're watching. Let's go. You just won a free copy of Love in the Messianic Age by Paul Philip Levertoff. Absolutely great book. And it's not a very long book, too. It's super easy read. You could do it in, I'd say, 2 days. The reason I wouldn't say in an afternoon is because it's too good to read in a single afternoon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So congratulations. That's awesome that you're here. I mean, that's good too. It's not often that they're actually here for the live stuff, for the giveaways, just the timing and everything.
Yeah. No, most everybody's been in the chat tonight. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So next book is The Exodus You Almost Passed Over by Rabbi David Fohrman. This whole book list is just goated. Goated with sauce. I love every book in this collection. And I do have a copy up here on my bookshelf. Great book. Rabbi David Fohrman, if you guys don't already know him, he's the founder of Aleph Beta Ministries. We've referenced him a bunch of times. He does great stuff. I would say he's, like if we could be anywhere near like what he is, a fraction, the guy's like a modern day prophet. It's crazy. He's very, very good teacher. And he seems to be pretty friendly to, us, like as a collective, not us specifically, but
right. I don't think he knows that we exist yet, but
I don't think he knows that. Yeah, we're not that cool. So let's see here. What do we got for a question for The Exodus You Almost Passed Over? Got one you like? Actually, when Noah kind of did ask a pretty good question.
Okay.
There's two. The first one is, do we need oral Torah to follow written Torah? We've answered that before. The short answer is yes.
Her second is probably that's a good one to go with.
Yeah, I like this one. So, what is the difference between oral Torah and rabbinic law? That's a good question.
Yeah, oral Torah is what it is, the 613, right? That it's that is it. It is the 613 that we can actually verify and establish, even from the written Torah, right? It's not something that is actually up for dispute in Judaism. It is something that unanimously all Jews agree on. Rabbinic law is, well, it's something that certainly a rabbi would have made an argument for. I would say probably closer to minhag as opposed to halacha.
It's considered halacha. It's still legal law. The difference, more specifically, I would say, is that oral Torah is from the days of the Sanhedrin,
right,
when the temple stood. There are certain laws in the oral Torah that are founded by the sages, and they're called the sages. They don't even really call them the rabbis. Once we get into the rabbinic era, post fall of the Second Temple, post Second Jewish Revolt, the Bar Kokhba Revolt, and even well into when the Mishnah is written or written down. Basically, after the year 352, when the Sanhedrin meets for the last time to establish the calendar, which is the last thing that the Sanhedrin ever did, the Sanhedrin established the calendar. That's when Rabbinic Judaism, it's basically been Rabbinic Judaism up to this point for about 150 years, maybe even a little bit more than that. But that's really the era of Rabbinic Judaism's official start. That because now we no longer have the Sanhedrin to make Supreme Court ruling decisions. So the rabbinate kind of take in that position and begin writing rabbinic rules as protections to protect what is the tradition that the Sanhedrin founded. And their goal was to maintain it and fence it. So there is leeway with rabbinic rulings. It is considered more lenient. You're allowed to be more lenient with rabbinic rulings in certain instances. But it's still considered halacha because they still have the authority. They're still a posek.
I would say a good example, right, is the kosher prohibition on meat and dairy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that's a matter of oral Torah. However, that is my understanding of it. That from discussions I've had with some of our Orthodox Jewish friends, is that the halakhic status of that prohibition, as per oral Torah, is more or less limited to herd animals, right, that are kosher. Yes. When it comes to poultry and dairy, that is something that's a rabbinic law. That's not oral Torah.
Correct. Yeah, that's right. And that's a good example. Basically, the Torah says this. The Mishnah, the oral Torah, says, okay, domesticated, herded animals and mixing their meat with dairy product, no go. And then the rabbinate stepped in and said, all right, well, so cool, but we have other issues. And they debate the whole thing about why they come to the conclusion of leaving meat entirely out, whether it's poultry, doesn't matter the meat. It largely has to do with the dishes and cross-contamination and the appearance of evil. There's actually a big discussion about it. So that's rabbinic, but it's still considered law. It's still halacha. So but you can be more lenient. That's not to say that you are supposed to be or should be, but when the case is questionable and it's questionable only in the rabbinic law, you can be lenient with it. But if it's questionable in Torah law, you can't be lenient with it. You have to treat that as more stringent.
Right.
So that's kind of the way it works. It's far deeper. This question should honestly get its own video. So
Facts.
The Exodus you almost passed over is going to... That was weird. Sometimes you roll it and it just says the same number. Bethany Kane. Bethany K. K-A-Y-E. Bethany. Let me put it here. Bethany K. Congratulations, Bethany. Maybe it's Kaye. I hope it's just K. I'm super bad with names. Congratulations. If you're watching, you've just won the Exodus you almost passed over. If you're not, again, we will reach out to you via email and figure out how to get that book to you. Okay, so we have one more prize to give away, and that is every book you just saw us give away is all being given in a single massive package called what we call the bookshelf starter kit. So all 9 books, we will send you a massive box of all 9 books, and that is the grand prize. So we need a grand prize winning. We need a grand prize winning question here.
Ooh.
The music. If anyone's got a fresh question, ask it. We got some questions starred. We're looking at a few. Let's see here. In the past, we've highlighted good ones. We've covered quite a bit. There's a couple in here that we've addressed in the past, so we're not like skipping that question because we don't like it or anything. It's just maybe we've already covered it, or yeah. Don't feel bad if we didn't get to your question. We could only do 10 questions.
Well, we still haven't given away Preparing the Way yet.
That's a bonus. Why'd you? That was supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, okay.
We're supposed to do the grand prize and then do a bonus.
Everyone forget everything that I just said.
A bonus round, like surprise. We have one more. Man, totally ruined. I had a thing ready for it and everything. I was gonna play the outro for like 2 seconds and then
stop talking about it. They'll forget.
Man. Yep. Rod Rice spoiler. Hey, Rob's watching. What's up, man?
Yeah, man. Let's see.
That's an interesting question. Ruined it. Everyone's pointing the finger at Brad. Everybody point and laugh at Brad.
I'm sorry. So wait, okay. So I see what's happening because nobody ever roasts me in the after partes. So like, this is where it's happening now.
This is where it's happening now. We're roasting you here
event?
now. Yeah,
Okay.
Your streak is over. You're being roasted now. Theology: Goku or Superman? Who wins?
Goku. Goku. Hands down. Goku.
Not the guy whose only weakness is kryptonite, which Goku has no access to.
Goku gets stronger every time he gets beaten. So it would only necessitate that they fight twice for Goku to win.
So, but he would lose the first round. That's what you're saying. So Superman wins.
Right.
It doesn't say 2 out of 3 who wins. Aaron's pointing at you and laughing. I did? How do you say
Yes.
Winona?
It's Winona.
What did I say?
Winona.
Oh, Winona. Yeah, my bad. For a guy who has a super unique name, I'm super bad with names. Yeah. Winona Farley.
Ooh, okay. So I think this is actually a good one.
Oh, that is a good one.
Does the authority to establish halakha exist post-Yeshua? And if so, does it still belong to the Sanhedrin?
I had to do another point and laugh. Sorry. Yes. So this question, good question, solid question. Thank you, Bradley Hewitt, for the question, and congratulations again for winning the Practical Tanya. So yeah, why don't you? I think you've actually got a pretty solid set of thoughts on this, but why don't you go ahead and?
So, I would say yes. It certainly does still exist post Yeshua. I think it may very well have been, in a sense, lost with the dispelling of the Sanhedrin itself. And I would concede that it would be reestablished with the reestablishment of a legitimate Sanhedrin, which would necessitate also the reestablishing of a temple, so to speak, for it to be, an actual Sanhedrin functioning in Jerusalem. But this is the primary point that Yeshua is driving at in Matthew 23. I actually just recently wrote a pretty decent article, I think, on Matthew 23 that is now in the peer review phase. So it should be on the website very soon. But it's addressing this exact topic. And a lot of the argumentation against the pro-Pharisaic view that Matthew 23 gives at face value, right? There are people who try and work around the pro-Pharisaic understanding of the passage by pulling from other medieval documents that are interpretations of this passage, among other things. Anyway, it'll be a good article when it comes out. But long story short, this is actually the primary point of what Yeshua is saying in Matthew 23, right? Is that the Pharisees are in the seat of Moses, which is to say that they possess and retain the authority of Moses, which is the authority of legislation, right? That's the authority that was passed down to the 70 elders by Moses, right? The Shoftim that we read about in Deuteronomy, that's what the seat of Moses is referring to. And
reference to the
he's saying, the Pharisees hold that authority, which means that they possess the authority of legislation, which means that really, if we were to establish a Sanhedrin again, there would be full authority to establish halakha from that Sanhedrin.
Yeah, so I'm going to approach this question from a different angle. Does the authority to establish halakha exist post Yeshua? That's hard. The line of smicha has been broken. So to establish new halakha is debatable. It's one of those technically no, but that doesn't alleviate the ability to create halakha in its totality. That's why we have what's called a posek today. A posek is basically a person who is qualified to make a halachic decision in the absence of a Sanhedrin. And if so, does it still belong to the Sanhedrin? It always belongs to the Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin is technically a conglomerate of democratically elected representatives into a Senate, essentially, and they act as judges who can make rulings on Torah and its laws, the same way our Supreme Court does. It's exactly the same setup, so to speak. The case law determines whether certain laws that are made by the legislative body are actually legal or constitutional, or in this case, Torah. If we had a Sanhedrin today, the halachic authority would rest with them. Now, whether or not they have smicha and the line, which we know has been broken as far back as Rabbi Akiva, that again is very debatable. But Yeshua taught a spirit of obedience, not a spirit of rebellion. So he wants us to be obedient to the proper authoritative figures. And Paul was the same way. He said, be obedient to those who are in a position that God has put them in as the authority, as the governing body. And in Romans 14, he is talking about the Sanhedrin, not the Roman authority. And so I think, whether or not this line of smicha is broken or we know it exists somewhere or whatever, it is sort of irrelevant. The established halacha is what, if Yeshua were alive today, even if he had problems with it, he would abide by it and then voice those problems while still remaining in a spirit of obedience, a sort of, not like civil disobedience, but kind of. If he's going to be disobedient, he would do so understanding that he would have to suffer consequences for doing so. But what we actually see from Yeshua is a spirit of obedience, with also, voicing his issues that he happens to have with a particular concept, or even just a overall hypocrisy of a particular subsect of Pharisee groups. But yeah, that's how I would answer that question. Yeah. The authority still exists, and the established halacha that's been established for Judaism by and large is essentially the halacha that Jesus himself sanctioned as being the authority that we ought to obey. All right, that's the grand prize winning question, huh? So, are you guys ready to hear who won the grand prize?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Congratulations to, let me just double check to make sure I rolled correctly. Grand prize winner, Deanna Brewer. Congratulations, Deanna Brewer. Let me make sure that that's nobody. Do we already know who that person is?
I don't know.
I'm not familiar with that name, but it sounds familiar. I didn't see anyone Deanna Brewer in the chat. No.
I hold on. I have to message you in the private chat about that, because this is the reason that I don't know.
Like I said, I just rolled the dice, and yeah, and I have an email. They're not on. I know that they are not in the Discord, and they are a $15 a month giver. They're Altar Crew Premium. Oh, actually, I even have an address and everything. So,
okay, cool. Yeah, okay. So it's
no, it's not them. I know. I left those names out.
Good.
The ones that are close family, that obviously, yeah. No. Yeah, I see your message. We're good. No, this person lives in. Well, I won't want to say the state. Out of state.
Don't worry about that. Yeah. But just it's not a scenario that we thought it might be.
Yeah. So Deanna Brewer, congratulations. If you're watching, you've won the grand prize. We will reach out to you via email. And we actually do have your address on file on the Patreon account. So we can still send you your stuff, but we're going to get your email to make sure all that information is correct first. So congratulations to all of our winners tonight for the many many dollars worth of books that we've definitely given away. Yeah, once you put everything together, it's actually quite a bit. But we want to say a big thank you to all of our supporters who makes this kind of thing happen. Yeah, we could not do it without your guys' support.
On top of that, because of what you guys do.
Right.
That's why we host this event. This is our way of being able to give back to you guys. So,
yeah. And anyone can win. As you see, you can be a $1 a month giver and receive over $630 worth of books as a prize, or even just a small book or something. But all of our supporters make this kind of thing happen. You've also been the reason we've been able to activate the website, publish a whole book, which, as you gave away, we are going to do a bonus question, a bonus round for our book. But maybe we should do the bonus round next week. Nah. So we'll do it. We can. I was going to do this. I was going to say, all right, good night, y'all. Thanks for joining us for the giveaway. Just kidding. We're going to have the bonus round. That's how I was going to do it. But ruined. Whatever. So we are going to give away. And I have a soft cover copy here. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks for playing along. What a surprise. We are going to give away a copy of our Preparing the Way book. And on top of that, a Preparing the Way book is included in the grand prize winner. So Deanna Brewer, you are also going to receive a copy of Preparing the Way. So technically we're giving 2 away. Man, you guys are great. Good sports.
So Chloe actually asked 2 questions that I thought were interesting.
I thought that was just the pointer finger. I didn't realize that was the tall finger. I thought he was pointing at you.
Man just went.
Yeah, whoops. Demonetized.
We're not in Europe, so what I did is okay.
So we have one more prize to give away. We need a question for it.
Yeah, like I said, Chloe asked 2 that I thought were interesting.
Okay. What do you got?
I'll go with this one. How can Hashem have created the world for the Messianic era if the Messianic era is such a short time?
That's a fair question.
Yeah, that's a very good question. It's not something I've really spent a whole lot of time thinking about. That's a very thought-provoking question. I think my initial response might even be that because when we say Hashem, created the world for, to say that he created it for the Messianic era in a way presupposes that the fall of man was intentional, and that certainly may be a very valid perspective. And I as I understand, there are certainly schools of thought in Judaism that do take that approach. But I think the initial creation that Hashem created in and of itself was as the Messianic era in and of itself is intended to be. So it was created the way that it was intended to be and then will be again. So I guess you could say that it's not so much that the Messianic era is a short period so much as the intermission between those periods of perfection and paradise is a long period.
I would say, it seems short to us, but I would put it this way. There's only one Sabbath day out of a 7-day week. It's a relatively short period of time for rest. It's only a single day. So comparatively speaking, the Messianic era is like accounting basically a day. It's the rest period for those in the kingdom without that resurrection and judgment of the new heaven and the new earth aspect. It also fulfills tons of promises that are owed to Israel. The reunification of the tribes, the land being unified and belonging to Israel, the kingship under Messiah for 1,000 years. Right, so the Messianic era is necessary to fulfill promises that God made to Israel over time, as well as that you have that sabbatical rest period window. And then you have, of course, the eternal new heaven and new earth. And then it doesn't really matter. It's a sort of eternal Messianic era with a very different kind of feel and way. So it's not a short time. If anything, it's a very long time, you could say. But yeah, good question, though.
Yeah, spectacular question.
Okay, Brad is forgiven. And for those who don't know, the Messianic era is supposed to be 1,000 years.
It's the 1,000-year reign.
Yeah. All right, so the winner of our bonus round that nobody saw coming is a complete and total surprise is Connie Tyndall. Connie Tyndall, if you're watching, congratulations. You are getting a free copy of our Preparing the Way book, which those of you, if you don't already own this book and you didn't win it tonight, you should definitely click the link below and buy it on Amazon. It is available right now in paperback and hardcover. And it's awesome, if I do say so myself. It is a fantastic book, and it's even illustrated, so the Marines can read it. Because I only read the pictures.
Yep. And there's more content to come. One question that went unanswered is, what's the next book y'all are releasing? We don't know, but probably
we have like 3 in the back burner right now.
Probably a long dissertation going over the evidence that Yeshua was a Pharisee, if I had to guess. That's one that we've been working on for the better part of over a year now, among others.
Yes, I don't know if that would be the next book, but probably it's
if not that, then probably what, the Haggadah.
If not that, the Haggadah. I'd like to have that released by the end of the year, so that it's ready for next year's Pesach. There's also we got a couple of things kind of chilling. We got some stuff that Austin's working on that could be coming out very soon.
That is true.
Very soon. So there's we got a few things kind of chilling in the back burner. Well, not really, actually just chilling on the oven, and it's just a matter of time before they're fully cooked and we release them. But a little bit like boiling water, it's taking longer than we thought it would take.
Yep.
Yeah. But we learned a lot of lessons publishing the first book, and that's when we have a realistic idea of how long it takes to publish a book.
Yep.
Cool. I think that's about it. We do have this question real quick. Do you prefer that givers give through Patreon or on the website? We prefer the website now, moving forward.
Yes.
The website doesn't skim off the top. Patreon, of course, takes a small percentage of the donation. That's how they stay afloat. That's how they run a business. Through our website, that doesn't happen. So the money is 100% going to the organization, and no one's skimming off the top, which is quite nice. And we have more options on the website, as well as the organizational structure, the stuff that we release, and the way that we're able to release it is a lot more catered to the website. So we're moving things more towards the website. Patreon is still active, but it is not as active. I would say that it's kind of, we put some of the big stuff up there, but all of the little articles that we are releasing for free too go on the website and not on the Patreon. So we prefer that you move towards the website if you can. If not, It's totally fine. We totally get it. But the website is more convenient, and we also have tracking software on the website for the payment methods. So when it comes to all of your write-offs and everything, you can actually go to your individual account and see how much you've given over that year, and you can use that for your tax-deductible write-offs without needing to have a letter from us. You still get a letter if you haven't already. A bunch have went out, but not all of them though. Unfortunately, I have to do them individually. It sucks. But if you're on the website, you actually can pull that history yourself, and it's super nice, super convenient. So. And we are a 501, so all your donations are tax deductible. Keep forgetting to mention that.
Yep.
Please hurry up so I can have a shelf dedicated to alternate books. I don't like how you guys have to share with FFOZ right now. But I like sharing a shelf space with FFOZ. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's like a high honor.
That's pretty cool. Like, think about that. You and I have written a book that shares shelf space with Thomas Lancaster.
I know. It's pretty cool.
All right, so we are an hour and a half in, and it's also a weekday, really weird. So yeah, we got I'm gonna go and have dinner. We would usually do an after parties like on a Sunday, but it's a weekday. We have work the next day and all kinds of stuff.
I believe Wednesday we are doing the Chosen watch party.
We are.
Yep. So we won't be doing an after parties tonight. but join us Wednesday. We will be doing a watch party. We'll be going through, this is episode 2 of season 1 of The Chosen. So
yes, and doing our my reaction, Brad's commentary, my commentary too, but I've never seen it, so it's mostly a reaction video for me.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's about it. Thank you once again to all of our supporters for making this possible. This is one of our favorite holidays, and our favorite thing to do is to give back to you guys. What happened?
That's
awesome.
Hilarious.
That's awesome. So anyway, we will see you guys hopefully, God willing, next week, Sunday. Paying members in the Discord, we'll see you Wednesday for the watch party. You should definitely join us for that. And then next month, we also have a couple of things coming up where you can join us for what we're working on. We're working on a project, and if you are a paying member, you can actually see what the project is we're working on, as well as be a participating member of said project.
Right.
I don't know. I guess we're not revealing that publicly what the project is, but whatever. It's not hard to figure out, but but we're working on a project, and you guys get to see the process, how it is that we work on projects in the background and participate, and actually really helps with your participation. You'll learn a lot. Anyway, good times. Consider becoming a member. Links are all down in the description below. Membership starts as low as $1 a month, $12 for the whole year, and you get all of these perks as well as book giveaways and all sorts of stuff. We're constantly doing things for you guys because you guys rock. So least we can do is say thank you by giving you stuff.
Absolutely. But again, thank you all for your generous giving. Tonight is I mean, we try and always say thank you, but tonight is the big night of thanks for that, where we try and give something back, particularly in the form of books that have certainly helped form and shape our own understanding of Scripture. We appreciate all of the continued support. We have one of the most awesome communities. You guys really are just awesome to be able to interact with on a regular basis. And I want to say personally from me that it is greatly appreciated to have people to bounce off of and to reach out to on a regular basis. That being said, if you want to see more educational content and sometimes funny content, I think sometimes we're funny.
I'm not funny. You're funny.
Definitely. We're not talking about looks though. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, ring that bell, go to the website, buy our book. It's awesome, or don't, but it would be cool if you did.
Have a good time, or don't. I don't care what you do. I'm not your real
Right.
dad.
Oh, other than that, look forward to seeing some of you Wednesday, and I guess we'll be continuing and resuming our debate review of the Dale Tuggy and William Lane Craig debate on Sunday.
Yes,
we'll see you guys then. L'chaim.